well, drafted out of school. Me and my wife were supposed to get married that Christmas. And I got something from my friends and neighbors and didn't even know what it was. I went in the house and I asked Mom, I said, "Hey Mom, what is this?" She looked at it and started crying. She said, "Honey, you've been drafted." I said, "I've been drafted?" I said, "For what?" She said, "U.S. Army." I said, "Well, I better go back over and talk to my lady friend." And I told her, I said, "I don't want to be married in the Army." Well, she said, "Well, if you want to put it off, that'll be fine with me." But that was the longest wait I ever had to get a first. Come back home and marry her. Then I married her, and she lived in chicken houses and everything else to be with me. She went as far as she possibly could go.
Man, how did she respond to you saying, "I don't want to marry you before the war"?
No, good. Me and her, we've been in love ever since we was in first grade.
Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, they put us in little boats, LSTs, I believe they call them. They carried us so many at a time to shore. Yeah.
And were you taking on fire while that was happening?
Oh yeah. But most of the time, they didn't have what we, but I'll guarantee you, somebody fouled up or they'd have won that war. They had brand new planes backed off on what they call Autobahn. Autobahn was like our superhighways. They had them built where they could fly them planes off that Autobahn anytime they wanted to. But the only thing was missing, they didn't have no fuel. I mean, pretty planes just backed in there waiting. Didn't have nothing to fly them out there with. A lot of them, there wasn't many left. Because they had them guns set up, see, over here. And they had it where they could traverse it down like this, you know, to and from. But if we could get down here and crawl up there, put a flamethrower in there, we could burn them all up. And of course, we'd give them a chance to come out and surrender. But they wouldn't do it. So we'd put a flamethrower in there and roast them all in there. Smoke was so thick, but if you could lay down this high, you could see under the smoke and everything. So, old Pop Bergerson, how he got in the Army, I don't know, he was too old. So, we was just laying around seeing what we could see, and I seen old Pop, he was way up on the pile of derbies up there, but he had his gun at port arms, they called it. It was up like this. And, so I knew to get back from him, so I got behind him. I kept eye on him, and I kept crawling up there. I could see him, and I said, "Hey, Pop." He said, "Is that you, Alabama?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Come on up." So he kept his gun port arms, and I crawled up there, and his face was just modeled like a little boy that's had a whooping. And I looked at him, I said, "Pop, you've been crying too. Been crying, hadn't you?" He said, "Hell yeah, and you have too." He said, "Pop, I'll tell you one thing, we'll never see the States again." He said, "You can kiss them goodbye." They made the mistake of telling us the little spot of land you see straight ahead now. He said, "That's Newport News, Virginia." Then the boat got lopsided and they come around punching us in the ribs, making us, of course we wanted to see that, they knew better. My dad ran an elevator in Cottonelle, and somebody told him that they seen me get off the bus. Then he got off his job and come over to see if it was true. I thought I would never get to go to bed with him.